future reflects on where we are now, what would you like to have them remember about our generation?
What happened to you if your electricity all of a sudden went out tomorrow and never came back on? And I give you a hint, the water wouldn't likely come out of your tap anymore. How long would you even last? Do you not see your lives are hanging on a thread? You better pray it never gets cut. Maybe you better learn how to live off the earth the way my people once knew how. You think you are so wise, but you crash in a bush up north, and how much do you know? And yet what you call a weed would be the very thing that would sustain your life if you only knew. How much of this do you know now? This we knew. We were afraid to be nowhere until the white man came. Then there were places we could not put our foot anymore. The very rivers would be poisoned. The very air I breathe would make the tears come down my eyes, filled with the coal smoke. I said, what people disrespect their own mother like this? They must be stopped. But how?
The key element that I talk about is this change that's taken place in the relationship between people and the earth. Most of our history, and long before we recorded history, maybe 100,000 years or longer, there's been we didn't have enough power, enough people to be able to disrupt the planet. There are places here and there where we did cause certain problems, but only locally, and you know, over the next range there was a new territory that we could go to and more resources and so on. But over this last generation, we've grown to the point where we're now stretching planetary limits across the board. There's people everywhere. You can keep going west, you come to China, and it's not empty land. It's very busy with people, and there's no new frontiers. So we sort of have to deal with finding a stable state here. We can't just always get more by going to new places. The situation in Canada that points most directly to this maturity is our East Coast fishery, because that's sort of come to the peak and collapse. It used to be you could catch cod by dropping buckets over the edge of a boat, and now it's an endangered species. An endangered species. An endangered species. It used to be you could catch cod by dropping buckets over the edge of a boat, and now it's an endangered species. What's happened with the fish is happening with forests and soil fertility and fresh water and fossil fuels, the ability of the earth to absorb our waste. So we're not, there's a lot of different places in which this filling of our habitat is indicative. And it all says that as a species we're now mature. We're no longer young offenders. We are fully responsible to the laws of nature. It's going to take a process of will, of public education and communication between people, and the desire to actually stop having the problems that we're facing from resource limitations and waste, and develop a system that can serve our needs and our children and our grandchildren.
Oh, what was I saying about hemp? Oh, that hemp doesn't get a fair shake in today's society because of the skew that has been put on it regarding drugs, right? And that there are some cultures where hemp is not a drug. Hemp is a food. I would stand on the street to drink a glass of water. I would stand on the street to smoke a spliff.
And yet what you call a weed would be the very thing that would sustain your life if you only knew. How much of this do you know now? This we knew.
When we choose to reflect on our history, we can remember times in which we overcame biased perspectives and liberated people's freedoms. We went through witch hunts, slavery, Aboriginal reservation camps, and even women's rights. We overcame biased perspectives and liberated these people's freedoms. The same thing can be understood about hemp and marijuana.